Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're recapping episode 61 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. It's a long one. This was the first 5-hour plus episode in a while, so this is going to be a long video. I'll try to cut out as much as I can, the less important stuff, but for the most part, it's all here. So, yeah, let's get started. We start in Hearthdale, in the Temple of the Dawnfather. The negotiations have fallen through with Kiro, the Flame Guard, and now it's time to fight. They roll initiative. Orem gets a 22, Ashton a 21, Denise a 16, Laudna a 16, Prism a 13, and Bodor a 10. Orem is up first. He's outside the temple with Bodor and Ashton. Next to Orem teleports Prism's book, Denios. Orem runs up the wall a little bit and uses Grasping Vine on Kiro to try to pull Kiro down. But with the first one, Kiro is too strong, so Orem action surges and tries again. This time, Kiro is successfully grappled, and Orem, rolling a 19 strength check, pulls Kiro down from the top of the wall. Kiro slams on the ground, taking some good damage. Orem then goes back down the wall and stands in front of the doors. Ashen is up, they rage, they rush up and throw a dagger at Kiro, hitting her for good damage. Kiro is now up. She stands and yells at the crowd of townsfolk running towards the temple. She's a little pissed off. She then casts a spell on Ashton and Orem. They both make a wisdom save, or they both have to make a wisdom saving throw, but they both fail. Both their bodies lock up, and they can't move. The spell is most likely hold person. Denise is up. She's inside the temple with Prism as they teleported there last episode. She rages and then takes out her whip. She holds her action for people to come into her range. Laudna is up. She's also outside, but in the trees next to the temple. She transforms into her form of dread, moves up to the wall, and then casts Infestation on one of the guards on the wall tower. He fails the save and is forced to flee from Laudna. He falls off the tower and is jammed between it and the wall. Emberdina is up. She summons a earth elemental, and using the spirits of the town, she makes it stronger. The elemental is up next, and it punches the door of the temple. With one hit, it blows open, and the way to the temple is now open for the townsfolk. The elemental then turns to Kiro and slams her. Kiro maintains her spell on Ashton and Orem. Prism is up, and she casts Chromatic Orb and hits Kiro, forcing Kiro to lose concentration on her hold person spell. Orem and Ashton are now free. Prism then runs and hides. She's not a upfront fighter, so she's got to hide a little bit. She then sends Mother, her raven, to Denise's side. And then she moves Denios into the battle. Prism looks at the stained glass in the room she's hiding, or through the door that she's hiding in. It's a fight between the Dawnfather and the Lord of the Hells. The guard is now up. The one that fell from the tower climbs his way out and then runs from Laudna. The other tower guard climbs down the stairs and then ends up next to Prism as she hid in the lower half of the tower. He misses the first attack but then hits the second one on her. Another runs up to Orem and attacks, hitting Orem once, and then tries to shove the elemental, but that's not going to happen for him, unfortunately. One guard runs near Denise, but is a little bit out of range still. And two run toward the door and hold their actions. Bodor is up. He picks up his dagger and tries to climb on the elemental. He fails and is thrown 5 feet back. He then tells the townfolk to storm the gate. It's now the Judicator. He, or it, runs up to Denise. She attacks it with her sickle as it moves into range and gets a natural 20, but misses her second hit. Unfortunately, no sneak attack on that natural 20, as no one else is within 5 feet of the Judicator. The Judicator then attacks her, hitting her hard, making Denise need to make a con save. She succeeds, and nothing extra happens to her yet. It then hits 2 more times, just absolutely clubbing her at this point. She needs to make another con save, but she fails with a natural 1. She gets hit with radiant energy, and she is now paralyzed. It's the civilians' turn. They start to move into the doorway. 5 get to attack Kiro, but only 2 hit. Others attack a nearby guard. Orem is now up again. He moves through the crowd, past the guard, but as the guard swings at Orem, he uses his reaction to get another hit on him as well, and then moves to Kuro and attacks her. He hits with a goading attack, and then hits a second time. Ashen is now up. They also move through the crowd and hit the guard. They push off the elemental and crush the guard with a massive hit, killing him. They then hit Kuro with a good hit and tells her that she is so fucked. Kuro's up and she flees from Ashen, taking a opportunity attack. She gets hit. She continues to run. Orem can't take an opportunity attack because he used his reaction already. Kuro then moves into the temple and summons a Guardian of Faith. Denise is up and she's paralyzed. Laudna is up. She casts Spider Climb and climbs over the tower and then back down the inside of it. She quicken spells and peeks her head out the tower and Eldritch Blast Adjudicator, only hitting once. Aberdina is up. She moves up behind Ashen and casts Blight on Kuro. Kuro fails. The Elemental is up and it moves into the temple. The Guardian of Faith hits the Elemental with a Pillar of Light, doing good damage to it. The Elemental slams into the ground, causing stone pillars to burst from the ground. 2 guards are standing on where the pillars come out, and they both fail their saving throws, taking a bit of damage. The Elemental then says something only Ashen picks up on, and it says, "Stand near for protection." Prism is up. She shadow steps out of the room she's in with the guard, and then, once she's outside, casts Fireball, but turns it into force damage instead, and hitting Kuro, the Guardian of Faith, and a few guards, dealing good damage. However, the Guardian of Faith seems to be unaffected by it. Prism feels a layer of protection as she is standing next to one of the stone pillars the Elemental created. The guards are up, and they all shit themselves from Bodor's long-term planning, the absolute genius. They're all considered poisoned. One of the guards block Denise. 2 of them go to Prism. One of them moves toward Laudna. One swings on Laudna and misses twice. One swings on Denise, but because of their shit-filled pants, he misses. One hits Prism twice. Bodor is now up. He moves into the temple and needs to make a dex save as soon as he does. He dodges a light of pillar that comes from the Guardian of Faith. He then moves up, or as he moves up, he shoots Kuro in the back with a light crossbow, but unfortunately misses, but then uses his luck to get a natural 20. He has luck points. That instantly makes him one of my favorite. I like luck. I think it's great. He then walks up to her with a dagger and stabs her in the neck with another natural motherfucking 20. What is with the natural 20s in the last 2 episodes? There's been a million of them. It's insane. A fountain of blood comes out of Kuro and Bodor tries to catch the blood so Prism can use it for her summon demon spell and then vomits from it because it's disgusting. The Judicator is up. The Judicator swings for Denise. His first misses due to silvery barbs from Laudna. And then he sees Laudna. And then he misses the third hit. The first one hit. I forgot to say that. It then moves towards the crowd. Denise is now no longer paralyzed. The civvies are up. And 2 run into the Guardian of Fate's pillar. And they fail their save. And they burst into radiant flames. And die. They got destroyed. It then disappears. Orem is up. He moves to help Prism, dashing to her. He then swaps places with her, adding to her AC until his next turn. Ashen is up. They rush into the temple, and they dash, moving up to help Orem and Prism as well. Denise is up. She stands up and goes for the guard right in front of her. She misses, and then she misses with her sickle, and then misses with her whip. But then Ashen's magic reverses time as they remember that she's within the range to add a D4. So they actually both hit. Laudna is up. Her mental state begins to crack as she thinks of Delilah and her terrible time in Whitestone. She remembers the hounds of the Briarwoods. Her ribcage bursts open and out from it comes a hound of ill omen. That's disgusting, but very in character for Laudna. She begins to cry black tears and sends it forward toward the Judicator. Laudna then casts Bane on some of the guards nearby. The hound then hits the Judicator with another natural 20. That's insane. Laudna then climbs back up the tower wall. One of the guards near her hits her as she tries to flee, but she has mirror image up from the last episode, so they actually miss. Abendira is up, and she moves up and says to take them prisoner, not kill them, but she gives up on this as she sees what's happening inside the temple. She then casts Blight on the Judicator, but it saves, only taking half damage. Abendira then moves back to let the Elemental pass. The Elemental is up, and it slams the guard into the tower wall, knocking him out. The Elemental then moves up and slams the Judicator, hitting it hard. At this point, a glow comes from the top of the temple and a voice is heard. It says, "Leave or be judged," and the celestial being begins to float down into the middle of the temple. It lands next to Ashen and Prism. It takes one swing at each, hitting both of them. It then looks at Orem and says, "Repent." He fails to save, and fiery chains burst from the ground wrapping around him. He's now restrained. That ends the Angel's turn. Prism is up. She sends Mother over to collect the blood from Bodor, and then Mother dashes over to Prism. Prism then casts Summon Greater Demon, and she summons a Belraga on top of the Angel, causing it to land on it, dealing some good damage. Her book Danios then moves up. The Belraga is up after her, and takes 3 attacks on the Angel, but only hits once. The guards are up. One tries to hide as they see an Angel, but they're shaking and they do a poor job of hiding. Angel and the Belraga. There's what they're fearful of. 2 guards run out of the temple. After they drop their blades, they are met by the townsfolk and they are thrown to the ground. Bodor is up. He moves up closer to the Judicator. Very dangerous idea for Bodor. He points at him and casts Lightning Bolt. The Judicator saves, only taking half damage, and he rolls like actual dog shit. Apparently he had 4 or 5 ones in there. Brutal. But that balances out the million natural 20s they've been getting, so I guess that's okay. Bodor then hides in the tower with Laudna. The Judicator is up and attacks Ashton, moving out of the Hound's range so the Hound hits it. The Judicator goes for a Brandishing Smite, but Prism counterspells it. It still punches Ashton and then kicks Denise. Denise is in deep shit. She's in a lot of trouble. It then backhands Denise with a natural 20, trying to take her out, because she seems to be the weakest link right now. The civvies are now up, and they begin to bind the guards that ran outside. Orem is up. He can't move because of the spell, but he can still attack. He second wins, healing a bit, and then air slashes at the Judicator, hitting twice. These were a goading attack, so now anything that the Judicator hits that isn't Orem has disadvantage. Ashen is up, and they attack the Judicator once. They can't move without taking a hit either. Denise is now up. She moves up to get advantage and swings for the Judicator, hitting with sneak attack, then hitting her second one. And then she uses her cunning action to get the absolute fuck out of there because she's in deep shit. Laudna is up. She moves up and casts Eldritch Blast on the Judicator, hitting once. Laudna's Hound then attacks the Judicator and hits with another natural 20. Dealing more damage than the Lightning Bolt did, actually. It's kind of ridiculous. That Lightning Bolt was bad. That was a very bad roll for Bodor. Laudna then hides again. Abendira is now up and she casts Mass Cure Wounds on Orem, Ashen, and Prism. Unfortunately, Denise is out of the range, so she can't get any heals from this. Abendira then hides in the tower with Bodor and Laudna. That place is getting extremely crowded. The Elemental is up and slams the Judicator, but misses both attacks. The Angel is up. It sees the demon and flies up. The Belgura hits it on its way out. The Angel says, "Be judged," and it sends a fireball towards Bodor, Laudna, and Abendira. All 3 fail. Absolutely insane. The Elder, or Abendira, loses her concentration on the Elemental, so it's no longer under her control. Laudna, however, does not lose Bane. The Angel's turn ends. Prism is up. She uses Danios and makes him fly into the air within range of the Angel and the Judicator. Through him, she casts Steel Wind Strike, hitting both, dealing great damage on both of them. The Judicator is bleeding from the mouth now. Not that they can see the mouth itself, but they can see the blood coming from there. Orem is now free. The Balraga is up, and it moves for the Judicator. It hits 3 times on the Judicator. The Demon stays loyal to Prism after its turn ends, which is good. That would have been terrible. The guards are now up, and he tries to shoot Denise with a crossbow, but with a natural 1, the crossbow breaks, and he chooses to run instead. Bodor is up. He moves up to one of the pillars the elemental made. He casts lightning bolt on the angel. It fails its save, and then Bodor hides again behind the pillar. The Judicator is up and sees the elemental is no longer targeting him or seems to no longer be a threat, and goes for Ashen. Hitting Ashen once, and then Ashen uses one of their magical abilities to send the second attack back, but it misses itself, and then hits Ashen one more time. The Judicator then tries to run. The Hound and the Balraga hit him on its way out, killing him, tearing him to pieces, Buddy chest bumping him back and forth between the two of them. The Hound then disappears as well, as its target is now dead. The civvies then run in and grab Kiro's body. Orem is up. Orem books it toward the devil. He climbs on its back and holds his action until he's near the angel. Ashen is up. Ashen vibe checks the elemental. Everything seems fine. Ashen asks the elemental to throw them up to the angel and holds their action. The mist around the creature is the spirit of the forest, and they have a hold of it still, so it chooses to throw Ashen up into the air. Ashen is thrown up into the air by the elemental and swings recklessly twice at the angel. He hits the first attack with a natural 20, and with that, Ashen gets a brutal critical at this level, dealing 30 damage, which is really good. He hits they hit a second time. Ashen falls out of their angel's range and is attacked by them, and unfortunately takes the damage. Ashen then falls 50 feet to the ground, taking even more damage, but they're still conscious, and they stand up to end their turn. Denise is up. She too climbs on the back of the Balraga and holds her action. Laudna is up. She tells Abendira to heal if she won't fight. Laudna then hexes as a bonus action on the angel and gives disadvantage on strength checks. She then fireballs the angel. It's saved, but it doesn't look like to be shaken up by any damage at all. That being said, it is a angel of the Dawnfather, so I would imagine that's not going to do too much damage. The elemental is up. It leaps onto the pillar and starts to climb, but it can't get the attack on the angel. The angel is up. It flies to a far corner to get the hell away from everything that's trying to move up to it, and it goes for a fireball, but Laudna counterspells it. Prism is up. She tells the Balraga to get Denise and Orem up to the angel no matter what, and then once it does, to grab a hold of the angel. She tries to cast Chromatic Orb, but natural 1, and she chooses to hide. The Balraga is up, and it climbs up and leaps toward the angel. Both Denise and Orem need to hold on tight. With successful athletic checks, they're both able to get their attacks off. Orem slashes at the wings and hits with the first attack, but misses the second. Denise hits her first attack and gets a sneak attack for big damage, but also misses the second attack. The Balraga tries to grapple the angel, contested strength throw, and the Balraga wins as the angel has disadvantage. The angel and the rest of them crash down to the ground. Denise lands in a nice, hero position, but still takes some damage. The Balraga still doesn't turn on the party. Bodor is up. He moves up to the angel and grabs its head and casts Inflict Wounds at 5th level on it for 36 damage. He holds its head and kisses it and says, "Enough," as necrotic magic goes into the angel's face, turning it to dust. With that, a few minutes pass. The civilians gather the rest of the guards and other temple staff and then begin to tie them up. The other Judicator that was walking around the town returns and then leaves. The elemental grabs the demon, and both of them sort of hug it out and turn into shale and disappear. The vines begin to push through the glass of the temple. The spirits want to crush this place. As they're trying to crush this place, Prism wants to look through it first to see if she can get any books, spells, text, or whatever. Abendira says to be quick. Orem tries to pull off the mask of the Judicator, but can't pull it free. It seems to be magically fused to its face, and whatever would be underneath would be terrifying. Prism looks to see if it's undead. She can't really tell. It doesn't look like it. There doesn't seem to be any necromancy about it. She then copies down the runes on its body, the tattoos. She then continues to look through the place. With Ashton's help, they're able to find some chests filled with gold. They find other gold deposits around, and they find texts, scrolls, and other things. Orem goes over to Heroes' body and takes a sword off it. The civilians see the temple is about to crumble, so they don't go inside. They feel confident they've gotten everything they need. The temple begins to fall. The tree roots and the vines all completely crush this place, removing the memory of this pain from this town. The townfolk cheer, and the rest of the town who are waiting for this conflict to end all join in the celebration. The town looks towards the party. Prism wants to toss money at them, but Ashton stops her. Abendira is ending her connection with the spirits for now. Orem takes in the moment of fighting against a good god to learn more about their friends and is confused and conflicted by this. Laudna clocks this and is very pissed off herself. Abendira tells the members of the temple they can either choose to leave and continue on with their religiousness, or they can stay and pay their debts. They untie them. There's a very young member of the temple, seems to be from the town, and one very old one, very hardened, clearly not from the town. The older one takes the first steps north and away from the town, and more of the temple staff begin to join him. The youngest stays and apologizes. Abendira says he'll have his chance to make it right. The town is now free from Vasselheim's grasp for now. Laudna whispers to Abendira to be careful not to become what she despises. She says that she has to do things for the betterment of the people. Laudna says that's fine, but there's a fine line between savior and oppressor. Abendira thanks them for being their saviors, and the mist clears and goes beyond the trees the spirits have seemingly left for now. She says the whole town thanks them, and if there's anything the town can do for them, they can have it. Denise wants heals and the scry. Abendira says she's spent, but after some rest, she'll get their scry done. The party say they want to rest at Abendira's place. She says that's fine. Ashton wants to have a private conversation with Abendira. Abendira is interested with Ashton's weird magic and their head. They say that's a worry for tomorrow. They just need a small word right now. Abendira says now is the time for celebration, and the town starts to celebrate their victory. The town now has life and joy that wasn't there when the party first arrived. Bodor goes up to Prolef and asks if they're even. Prolef says yes. Bodor can't stop seeing the angel's face as it died. He says something is happening. His faith is shaken a bit. Prism says this just feels like a net positive and asks if it's weird to think that way. Ashton says things are weird now, but it is a net good for what they did for this town. Ashton and Prism go to Abendira and tell her about the gold they found. They give it to her, and she then drags it to the people. She drags it to the center of the square and tells Perloff to distribute it as he sees fit. He knows best what the people have given up for all this. The townsfolk gather, and it starts to be redistributed. Orem goes to Laudna. He says everyone seems happy. Laudna calls them ignorant. Ignorance is bliss. Laudna says they don't know the knowledge that they do, and they don't know the burden of the weight that it carries. Orem says they got to get back. Laudna agrees and feels angry, but doesn't really know why. They put themselves in danger when there's much more at stake. She calls this a piss ant squabble. She didn't know why she's so angry about it. Orem doesn't know if there's anything they can do. Laudna says Ashton said something to them. Right now, if we tried to change the world, it seems like an impossible task. But we can change what we do or have control over so they can save their friends. Orem doesn't know much, or doesn't know how much time they have. Orem just wants to get back to his friends and use the time they do have with them. Laudna says let's find them. It's the only way they can do that. Orem doesn't understand how Laudna bounced down through history, but he's glad she's here with him. Laudna says they've seen a lot of shit, and that's why they're here. Orem says there's going to be more coming. Laudna just wants to get out of this town. Abendir tells the party that she's tired and going to rest. They walk back to her cottage. She gathers blankets and cushions for them so they can all rest on them. She makes tea for everyone, and they all sit around inside her house, or her cottage. She smiles at them and says to call her Joan. She says they look like they can't choose between trusting her or killing her, and she understands, and that no matter what they decide, she thanks them for helping. Bodor says no more killing, he just wants to go home. She plans to help with that tomorrow. Orem asks what they'll do if they come back, meaning the temple guards. She says this is not the only place rising up. There are other towns. They will hear of this, and they will do the same. Prism asks about Predathos' nature, and speculates on if it's an elemental weapon against the divine. Joan knows nothing of Predathos, other than what the party have said and what the voice said. She says the voice was confident and it brought inspiration to the town, so they had to use it. She says that she says they don't use the spirits like cattle, but they live here as well, alongside them. The lands of Exandria are filled with these spirits, made by the titans that shape the world, and the spirits remain how they can, as echoes and shades of the titans that crafted this world. Prism says Predathos might not be just a black hole of death, it might be intelligent. Orem says they don't really know anything about Predathos. Prism says that she's good at learning stuff, so that's how she can help. Orem says we can only base it off what they know off the people trying to free it. Prism asks if Orem second guessed it based on how the Titans were squashed. Orem says he doesn't understand the gods. He doesn't understand or know anything about any of it. He says he's a widower because of the people who they are against, so it's hard to understand their side. Laudna says she has a point. They need to ask more questions instead of just resigning to one idea. Orem asks who they're going to ask. Prism says she has the texts from the temple. She can go through those. Orem wants to know what the texts say. Denise says she doesn't believe in the gods. She only knows that right now she can sleep, and in the morning Joan is going to be able to scry for them. Bodor agrees with Denise. He can barely stay awake. Bodor doesn't understand they killed a godly entity that didn't seem evil. Denise says it's not evil, but there's a spectrum of behavior. Joan says there's wisdom in those words. She says that mortals started as an invasive species, and the Titans made space for them, but the gods didn't leave space for the Titans. She wants to return the world to the state once more where people can live with spirits and choose to live and pray, to live free and not endure. Orem leaves during this conversation to go think about his husband. Bodor lays down and closes his eyes. Joan says morality is innate, but only changed later by others using to look control on other people. Denise says it's time for bed. Joan says she knows nothing of Predathos, and the spirits don't quake at the mention. Maybe it's a sign of changing fate. Joan then goes to sleep. Laudna asks Ashen what they wanted to talk about to Joan. Is it their past, the mask? It could be their past, but the mask is something they want to ask about later for the group, once everything is calmed down. Ashen thought they knew anger, but they were just in decades of self-pity. They now feel anger. Laudna says that she had the same sort of talk with Orem not too long ago. Ashen says that was their worst nightmare. Laudna asks what specifically about this last day has been their worst nightmare. Ashen says that was their first divine intervention. They were seen by the gods. It saw them. It wasn't fearful. Laudna says that it wasn't a god. Ashen says, but it was a messenger. And it said that it doesn't care. They might as well be gone. They are a mistake. Laudna asks if they mean the judgment. Ashen says they've been judged by better. Ashen tells Laudna they gave out all the money that they found in the temple. Prism helped. Laudna is okay with that. After an hour of rest, Bodor goes and looks for Orem. Orem is hiding in a tree. Bodor rolls a really bad investigation check and just starts looking around and whispering outside. Orem sees him and tells him to come up. Bodor asks him how he's feeling. Orem says he's had better days. Bodor asks if he wants to talk about it. Orem tells him again to climb to the top. Bodor does really well in climbing, shockingly. Bodor asks if Orem believes in the gods. Orem says their history, they've dropped miracles on the world, that have caused both great damage and unmistakable good. He doesn't think he cares. He cares about those around him and his family. Bodor says he lived an easy life. He wakes up, works, eats, and sleeps. His beliefs are very black and white. But he came here and was asked to fight in a temple, and in victory he didn't see divinity, he felt sadness and compassion. Why did they have to do that? He says Abendira has no clue about what they're talking about when it comes to Predathos and Ludinus. Orem looks to the sky and sees Ruidus. Orem says that Ludinus wants to open Ruidus and let out whatever is inside, and apparently it's worth killing a lot of people to do so. Does Orem believe in the gods? Yes, but they have no bearing on him. Bodor asks what's to happen if they do come into contact with Ludinus. He says the conflict they just won is very small. What are they going to do here? Orem says that they were with others before they came here. They need to find them. Bodor says, let's do that, rather than focus on other things. Bodor also says that Orem is very charming, was so close to convincing Kiro to step down. He extends his hand to Orem and says that he goes where Orem does. Bodor then climbs back down the tree and goes back to bed. The party rests up. Lana and Prism did some reading before going to bed. Orem only took a short rest. He couldn't sleep, so he has a point of exhaustion. A lot of the texts were pamphlets, ledgers from the Silver Call Mill, plans of buying more parts of the town, waiting on other members of the network of the Dawnfather about building more temples in the city. Not just temples to the Dawnfather, but other gods. It's all written in mild code, so it wasn't terribly easy to sort of figure this out. Prism looks at the runes she copied. They aren't standard arcane spell glyphs. They are older and divine. They seem to have some sort of anti-magic properties to them. There's also text about the solstice and the Vasselheim watching the points of interest, the nexus points. Prism understands these nexus points won't move until the next solstice, so they're very strong magic points, so this town is only just seeing the beginning of its problems. Prism fakes a smile for everyone else. The next morning they're greeted by breakfast. Denise is helping so they can get to the scry faster. Prism asks for a scroll of scrying. Joan says she can make one for her. Ashton asks Joan what she was curious about them the other day. Joan asks about their head. Ashton doesn't really know. They explain the strangeness of their powers, and they say a few people who went in nearly got messed up by it. Joan has never seen anything like it. Joan says to speak with the spirits, they might know more. Joan thinks that they have a strong connection with the elements based on their appearance. Ashton says they've never really thought about it, and that what they look like was done to them. They weren't born this way. It's time for the scrying. They go to the scry well. It is like a massive bird bath. Joan starts pulling minerals and dried leaves and throws them into the water. She sits down and looks up. A glow comes from above, and she asks where they want to look first. Orem hands her a box with a moon on it, a box made by Chetney. She casts the spell. She waves her hands in a circle, and the water begins to spin. The box spins. Her hands stop, and the water freezes. The box sinks, and a mirror is created, and they look through it, and they see snow. They see snow, and then they see a gnome. The description of Deanna is given, though they don't really know who she is. She then turns, and we see Frida, reminding the rest of the party of FCG. Behind them is Chetney. They see he is excited and nervous. Behind him is Imogen and Fern, and behind them is FCG. They see they are climbing a mountain toward some towers. It looks like a mountain city. They try to figure out where they are. Orem and Prism use the black smoke behind the mountain. They use it to know that they are near Mount Cravarot, a volcano in Wildmount. They understand that they're probably near Uthadern. They don't look injured, with the exception of Frida having their coat torn open a little bit. The party are happy their friends are alive. Bodor is confused and asks how to get there. Orem asks if there's some way they can go to be taken there fast. Prism says Vasselheim. Joan says they could go there, but she knows of someone who can help within 5 days north of here in a chasm. There is a shrine there kept by hearthdale, a powerful archdruid who trained her. They ask how far Vasselheim is. She says it's further down the road and a much longer trek than the 5 days toward the shrine. Denise pulls out a bit of hair and then asks to scry with it. Joan says she can scry 2 more times. Prism says Bodor should use it to see his brother. She won't use it for anything personal. Joan starts to scry on Dariax, and another mirror is made. They see a young dwarven man with a scar on his face, sweating in a dark space. He looks like he's thinking. Denise is excited, but also wants to punch him in the face, and a single tear goes down her face. He turns his head, and a bit of worry comes over his face, and then a blue hand touches his shoulder. Dariax stands up, and next to him is Dorian, who also looks very weathered. Ashton asks who Denise is. She says that that's Dariax, the bag of dicks she was talking about. Ashton says, and points toward Dorian, that Dorian is their bag of dicks. Bodor is up. He doesn't have an item on them, or on him, that belongs to his brother, so it likely won't work. Bodor suggests looking for Ludinus, but the party say they know where he is, so it doesn't matter. The party suggests looking for his home. He gives Joan the dagger that he has been carrying around. He believes it to be from his home. She scries again, and we see a homestead, very modest, but it's an unfamiliar place to Bodor. And with that, Joan is spent on the scrying for the day. She then copies the spell for Prism. They gather their stuff. Prism asks where they want to go, the shrine or Vasselheim. The shrine is closer, but a much more dangerous path. Orem thinks it's bad to go to Vasselheim after what they just did. Prism thinks they could deceive Vasselheim, but Ashton doesn't think that'll work at all. Lana says Vasselheim will likely not like her as she's undead. Ashton thinks the shrine is a better place. Orem and Bodor agree. Denise asks if they can take a boat to different continents, but that would take weeks. A skyship would be faster, but they need to find one. And magic is instant, so they choose to go to the druid. Joan offers a guide for their journey. They like this idea. She asks for fire, wind, or earth. They say wind. She steps outside and creates a wind cougar, which is going to be a running joke forever, I can tell. It waits for the party to go. The party is ready to set out. Joan asks them to spread the word of what they've done here, if they can, and to stay safe. The party then set out, the wind cougar in front of them, and it marks the path as they go, and that's where the episode ends. And there you have it, episode 61 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. Super fun episode. Really fun combat. I thought that was really fun. It took the first 3 hours to get through that combat. It was really cool, really fun. I really like episodes with combat, apparently, because goddamn is it so much easier to follow than hearing a bunch of different names. Last episode was really a pain in the ass because there was 100 different names getting thrown at you by different people. And this one, so much simpler to follow. Very much enjoyed this one. Fun episode, super fun episode. Excited to see where they go. I'm glad they saw them they saw their friends before they even get to Uthadurn. So that way they don't get anything spoiled. They don't see that they're walking with the Galaxy Bull, or they don't see them in Malayasmere. Really like that they kind of see them early in their journey so they understand where they are. So I'm curious how they're going to end up meeting in Jushar, as that's where Team A was told that they would be able to meet them. So, kind of excited, interested to see where they go. Yeah. With that being said, I'll see you guys on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Peace.